Curt Storbakken has made a tremendous impact on my life, personally and professionally. In his nearly 60-year career as a horse trainer, Curt and his wife Linda have made numerous AQHA champions, futurity champions, and all-around horses. I was lucky enough to sit down and chat with this professional hockey player, horse trainer, school teacher, inventor, and inspiration.
I was born in North Dakota in the latter part of the Depression. I had pretty good folks. I never went hungry. And as far as the horses were concerned, why, I started school in a one-room school just out of Hoople, North Dakota. And you asked me how I got into the horses. Well, I had a pony, and I rode my pony to school in the summertime and put it in the barn. In the wintertime, why, our school bus was horse-driven. Dale with a wood stove in there, and they'd come and pick us up and take us to school. So that's kind of how I got started with the horses. And when I was just in 5th grade, I had the first American ever to make the NHL team. His name was Fido Purper, as my coach. And he weighed 140 pounds, and he was one tough little guy. And he what I learned from Cliff I'm still going on what Cliff taught me. Actually, my mother took a pair of clamp skates and bought me a new pair of boots and riveted those on, so I had a pair of skates that I could lace up on. Hockey was my life for several years. And so anyway, I was lucky enough to play with the Winnipeg Barons when they were Farm Club of Chicago, and then I got traded, and I was with other clubs. But that was good to me, you know. The hockey players and the Cowboys are like peas in a pod. You could put them in the same, their enjoyment seems to be the same. And then after I was playing hockey for a few years, I got married and was fortunate enough to, the kid's mother was really responsible for me to be able to graduate from the University of North Dakota. She worked and was a lot of help to me. And we were fortunate enough to have 4 really good kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. It's Raleigh and Ross and Judy and Janelle. I was teaching school, and I was always an animal person, so first thing I had to do was get a dog. Well, that wasn't quite enough, so then I went and found a monkey. But he was a little bugger gal like you would come over, you know, and oh, he's cute. I'd put him on their shoulder, and he had a real, you know, they like hair, so they'd get into that hair, they'd shrink. I said, no, I said, don't do nothing, he'll bite. So they'd stand and he'd kind of comb their hair for him. And anyway, my assistant principal was into horses. So then I went and rode some of her horses, and then I ran into a guy who was bringing a lot of horses in from Montana, and they were just horses off the range, wild horses. And I got to riding for him, and we'd get a few rides on them and take them to the LA horse and mule auction every Friday night. And that was that's how I got back into them again. And actually, I rode horses for that guy for 2 years while I was down there. He'd bring them and got some nice horses, and he was a really good hand. Actually, my first stud horse was a horse called Billings Bay Jim. He was P32 662. He was out of a mare by Chic P11 and by Red Dog P55. So that kind of tells you how far back I go. And so why I came out here was I really wanted the horses were just getting going out here as far as the cutting was going, and so that's why I moved out here. Then, you know, in the early days, they didn't have the clinics they got now. You know, you'd go, and if you're going to learn something, you would watch them, and they might tell you just enough to get you in trouble, you know, but you paid the entries, and but I had a lot of, you know, you learn by doing, you know, and going.
One of my favorite things about Curt is his undeniable love for horses and the horse industry.
You know, You've been there. It's the best seat in the house. You get one of them things that are jumping 15 feet and come back and explode. That's enough said, I think. No, the kiting is the best that I found, because you've got to have 4 people that want you to win as well as you do, or you're not going to happen. If there wasn't horses like Docalina, you know, if there wasn't horses like the great horses, Old Leo or any of them, there wouldn't be these horses today. You know, but they're not in numbers. And now, when they've gotten to where, you know, the big ones used to come where we'd get the outcrosses. Well, what do you got now? And I don't quite know how this is going to go, you know. I still think that when the old rancher was able to come up with a stud horse, you know, and they didn't come in bunches. Well, now you look at a pedigree, what are you going to find? You know, they all go back to half a dozen horses or less.
Passionate about cutting and cow horses, Curt was a part of the early days.
Linden had the second fraternity, the Snafflebit fraternity, and that was good. We had Skippy Brown come, Smokey Pritchard, Bobby Ingersoll, Dan Fonson. You know, they were trainers that went on to make some great horses, and was able to ride with them, and I learned a lot from them. You know, I think Bobby Ingersoll had the best hands I've ever seen. You know, and great guy. Bobby Ingersoll is a gentleman, and he always willing to give you a hand, help you, and he can play the fiddle.
Having trained horses for over half a century, Curt has seen many changes in horse training.
Most of the horse trainers in those days were on ranches, and they were cowboys. They were really, I mean, they worked those ranch horses and were training, and when we went to the shows 50 years ago, they were usually ranch hands that were training. Well, now these trainers are, a lot of them aren't born on ranches, and they really haven't had the ranch experience of them. So, but I don't take that away from them at all. But you asked me the difference, and I think that was the difference. They were cowboys before they were trainers in those days. I mean, you go back and they got a good horse, and that led them to the show pen. But I think that the trainers are doing a great job today, but I think they're rushed more than they used to. I've definitely learned a lot over the last 75 years, but I still think that the basics have to be there, and it's just, you know, it still drives me crazy to have somebody tie a horse up with a 6-foot line, and if they got just little different things that you know that they do, that, you know, so when I get somebody in my barn, and, you know, you've brought students down to me, I'm pretty much on the basics, you know, and I think you've got to get in between those horses' ears and just go with whatever that horse tells you can do. If that horse tells you think you've had enough, you better quit, you know. But with me, I'm just kind of the old school. I would like to take more time to get them there. They had to be the right horse for me, and I think that's going back. What does it take to make a good horse? The one that had the big heart is the one I done the best on, and the one that took a little more time, I didn't push them that hard, but they went on to make pretty good horses after their 3-year-old year or two. But I think I've always given the horse the benefit of the doubt, you know. But when they need some discipline, I've always been able to give them that too, or want to. But when a horse gives me something, I appreciate it, you know. These horses are a lot like women, and if you don't let them win, they quit you. So you got to have that in mind.
A shortage of fresh cattle and the desire to find a better way led Curt to invent the Hydra Bull.
I cut a bicycle too, and I used to put it in front of my arena there, but instead of having a sack, I went and got a monkey, a big stuffed monkey, and I put that on there. And then I had
a monkey theme.
Yeah. Then I called him Monkey, But anyway, I'd wind that, well, on that bicycle, and then I thought, well, there's a better way to doing this, so I knew I had to have a DC motor, so I got a motor off of a rudder off of a boat, because that was a DC motor, because if you're going to go left to right and exchange that, why, it has to be DC. An AC motor will burn out. So I got that, and then I used a little transformer off of an electric train to change that direction. So that was my first sack. And if you're going to have enough cattle to train a cutting horse, well, you need about 14 head of fresh cattle per horse per month, and that's pretty hard to do and pretty expensive. So then I came up with, well, as soon as I seen these hydraulic motors, I thought that's something I could develop with Hydrobull. So then I got 2 hydraulic motors, 2 hydraulic pumps, and then went from there, and it's been good for me, you know. We've sold some. Actually, we've got some just about all over the country, not as many as I'd like, but they've been you know, to me, I give 15, 16, 18 lessons a week, and it's been really good to me.
Life throws all of us curveballs, and mine has been no exception. Curt has always been there with a story or a message that has helped move me forward. His life teaches all of us the importance of hard work, a critical mind, and a sense of humor.
The people has been what kept me going in the horse business. Not only the people, I mean, you know what the trainers are. I mean, you can go, or I could go from here wherever and stop and never have to worry about a place to stop, you know, and friends, you know, and they're true friends, you know, and known them so many years, you know. I'm going back 50-some years. You know. Everybody I met that I respected, I learned from. And I think you apply that, and I think that as far as being coachable, you know. But I've had a lot of good clients and customers, you know, and I've been blessed, you know. How many guys my age still riding colts, you know?
How many guys your age should still be riding colts?
That's it's still what I like to do, you know. You know, I've had a good life, just really have. The people I've met and what I've been able to do, and real fortunate all 4 of the kids turned out. You know, my barn's been full, you know, and I've never worried. Maybe that's lying a little bit, but as long as I can fill the hay mow and put some grain in the, you know, every day, and it's always been there, you know. So hopefully it can keep doing that for another 30 years.